Hello, it's that fabulous time of year when lots of plants are ready to go out into the garden. Tender plants can start being hardened off, and if you live in a more southerly, warmer area of the UK, then certainly you can be planting out those tender plants, well, anytime now. I'm Zorab, and this is Real Life Gardening. There is masses going on in the garden. There's loads of stuff to do, and yet at the same time we still need to not rush too much because not everything is ready to go into the ground. So this is the bed that my friend Tony and I cleared of weeds last week. We put in 3 bags of peat-free compost, so it's had something like 150 litres of peat-free compost as a mulch, as a soil improver. I've started by marking out a straight line. It doesn't really matter whether I stick to it or not, but it gives me some rough guidance. And today I'm planting the first 6 fielderkraut cabbages. Now these are the pointy cabbages that I usually harvest somewhere between August and September. I really like the flavour of these. I want to space these far enough away from the edge that I don't have to bend off, break off too many leaves, because I won't want the leaves touching the netting, because butterflies will land on the netting and then lay their eggs through the netting. So I don't want them too far in, or because I still want to have 2 rows, but I don't want them too far out to the edges because, as I say, the leaves will touch the netting. When I made this bed in 2022, I used a plastic-free membrane in the bottom of it. It's made from cornstarch, and the manufacturers say that it will start to break down after about 3 years. Well, I had imagined that meant that it would actually be breaking down, and maybe by the end of the 3rd year it would have disappeared. Here we are 4 full years later, and it's pretty much intact as it is right across the garden. So over the last couple of years, every time I've planted in these beds, I've actually smashed a hole through the membrane, which will allow earthworms and the rest of the soil biome to come up through that membrane, through the holes, and mix with the compost materials above the membrane, and slowly those will all mingle together. Now I am really interested to see how long this membrane will last in place, but right now I want room for the roots to go down into the main part of the soil, and as I say, and for the soil life to come up through. I first learnt about growing brassicas from Jeff Hamilton on BBC Gardener's World, and one of the things that he used to say when you were planting brassicas is that they needed really firm soil around them. And so firm them once, firm them twice, and when you think they're firm enough, firm them once again. This doesn't mean pushing towards the stem, it means pushing down, pushing the soil down that's around the stem, not getting too close to it. But the idea is that it will give them a really firm base, and it prevents windrock. Now, whether it's just an old wives' tale or not, I like to think that doing that firming in, really locking the roots into the ground and giving them a really good stable base, actually makes the leaves curl up tighter, so you get tighter sprouts and tighter cabbages. I don't know whether that's true or not, but I like to think it is. As I put each cabbage into the ground, I'm checking over the leaves to make sure that there are no butterfly or moth eggs on it. After all, I don't want those on my young plants, and for them to grow and then just consume the plant before I get a chance to do that. I create a well around each plant because that allows me to water, and then for the water to stay around the roots of the plant. And later in the season, as it gets drier, that will become more and more important. Can I ask a favour? If you're enjoying this video, please give it a thumbs up or leave a comment, or both. And if you haven't done so already, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. And if you really want to help out, please watch another video at the end of this, because that tells YouTube you're really enjoying the channel. Thanks. soft butterfly netting comes from gardening naturally, and I really love it because it's pliable enough to be able to gather it around the ends of the bed, but firm enough to actually feel quite secure. Although this piece that I'm using is a new piece, I am actually still using butterfly netting that I bought in our previous home about 6 years ago. And it's fine, it still has no holes in it, so I just carry on using it year after year. The only thing that I think really helps is at the end of each season, I do pick it up and I store it in the polytunnel, and I try and gather it into a fairly sensible pile. This week I've also been away in Devon, been to visit my daughter, and the last time you saw this garden was about 18 months ago when she just moved in here, and it was basically head high with brambles and weeds. So I'm so pleased that she has managed to clear a great space of it, and she started creating some raised beds. And this week when I came to visit, I brought with me a whole load of young seedlings and young plants. And so we have planted up the first of her raised beds. At this end, we've put in 3 rows of potatoes, so 3 potatoes across, 3 rows going this way. And in between, we've put in some Welsh bunching onions. I don't think they'll stay here eventually. I think they'll get moved to another bed, but they haven't yet been filled, or they haven't even yet been built. So they'll start off in here. And then in this section, there is a butternut squash here. I've put in a Cavolo Nero kale in the middle because she likes those, and some rosemary at that end. And I've planted the rosemary quite high up, so it will sit in really well draining soil. Then there's a row of lettuces. There's some marjorams. I brought her a golden marjoram and a straightforward wild marjoram, which I guess is an oregano. There's a perennial tree cabbage, 3 cuttings of Taunton Dean kale. Well, they aren't going to stay in here either because they'll get huge, but they can root in here and then we can move them. And then at the far end, there are 4 of the chard plants with the yellow stems, and a few more of the lettuces, another 3 lettuces into planting because they'll be out fairly quickly. So I'm really pleased we have made a start. But this isn't all. So still to find a home in her garden, some chives, some sweet Sicily, I bought some rudbeckia and a geum. And then here I've got 3 justaberry plants which desperately need a new home. Here are some Egyptian walking onions. I'm hoping she's going to fill the next bed during the next few days and get all of this in. There's some bronze fennel, some borage, and then I've also brought her 2 different types of mint for growing in pots, not in raised beds. This one is the silver mint with the incredibly soft leaves. I can't say this without going incredibly soft because I absolutely love them. So I've got that, and then I've also got some spearmint, just rooted cuttings. There is some of the flomis or flomis, I can't remember how it's supposed to be said, but this is what I was lifting in a previous video, and I showed you that I had set some aside that had grown in the paths in between our garden beds. So there's some of that for her, and I also brought her a few forget-me-nots. Now these desperately need to go into some moisture. I'm going to pull out a rosebay willow herb. I might take that home with me because I haven't found rosebay willow herb in her garden yet. So let's put that in my pocket. Anyway, I'm not expecting this to do anything spectacular, but it may well produce seeds which she can then scatter around her garden. And likewise, over there is a piece of Alchemilla mollis, which I lifted from one of our pathways for her to put into the pathway here, just to help soften the edges a bit. So that's all excited, and I'm really pleased that she's got started, and we'll come back again later in the year and look to see how much further she's got. And while I'm out here, let's have this week's look at the potatoes in this bed. I can't believe how quickly they're growing now. They're enjoying the warmth, they've had some rain, and now they're really growing well. My big worry is that we're still likely to get frost for about another 5 weeks. But if there is a frost forecast, then I will come over and cover them with something. Having a look, there's an ant all the way up the top here. In fact, now I'm looking, there's an ant on nearly every plant. I wonder what they're looking for. So it's like they're guarding every leaf. So anybody who knows anything about ants and ant behaviour, please can you leave a comment and tell me what they're up to, because that is fascinating. So these are looking good. However, there's still an awful lot that can be sown in May, and of course I've made a video, and so I'll leave a link on the screen and in the video description. If you click on that link, it'll take you straight through to the video. And so wherever you are in the world and whatever you've got planned for today, I hope it's a good one, and I also hope you'll join me again next time.